Welcome to the orientation for the virtual writing boot camp. We're recording for those who are unable to attend today for today's session, and we'll be sure to put a link, email the link out and make sure that the link is available in all of your respective groups as well. So you'll have multiple ways to access the video. And here's a little bit about us, your facilitators. I am Dr. Jennifer Ellis, and I am an associate professor at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and I in the School of Education, and I am also the director of STEM education here as well. And for me, I really need to get back to these virtual writing groups. It was very, very helpful when I was an assistant professor and going up for tenure promotion, just having the accountability, the weekly accountability. We met on Fridays and we just basically updated everyone on our weekly progress. So that was helpful for me.
And my name is Dr. Shawani Howard-Baptiste. I'm also an associate professor and faculty at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I teach in the Department of Health and Human Performance, and I'm also the program director for the Masters in Public Health here. And so for me, this, like Dr. Ellis stated, you know, this is really important for me to have that level of consistent weekly accountability to make sure that I'm progressing through my writing goals. So we have plans to, you know, move to the next level in the near future. So we want to make sure that our scholarship is intact and moving forward.
And as mentioned, you know, these groups are for a 6-week period, but it's helpful if they continue on past that. So just really getting in a good habit before the fall semester starts. Cohort of folks that you can work with, I think would be another mutually beneficial situation for all of us. So we have the different general cohorts for those who are undergraduate in graduate school, working on either a thesis or a dissertation. Just looking at the data that I received, majority of you all are working on your dissertation or in that kind of phase of your trajectory in your programs. Those of you who have finished and are now doctors are looking to capitalize on your dissertation and going to and creating some publications from them. Those who are on the tenure track for assistant to associate professor, Shawani and I are in group 4 for associate professor to full. And then a new group that we're really excited about, really working on AABHE work and looking at the impact of COVID as well as the racial issues on higher education and working in that realm. And then those of you who none of the above worked for you and have other writing goals, some of you are writing books, white papers, things of that nature, we put you in the other category to hope to best support you and your writing needs as well. The structure is really going to be customized on your group. So you are going to have weekly meetings, and the meetings are going to be basically on what works best for your group. So each Monday you're going to check in, and checking in could vary for each group. So at the very least, each one of your group members is going to check in using the spreadsheet, and I'll show you what that looks like that's provided in your group, and you're going to state what is your goal for the week. And you create your own metrics and you create whatever it is that works for you and what you think is realistic. And you can see as you go through the weeks, what is what is and is not realistic. So I'd like to do mine in hours. And so I'll put my hours in, I'll state what my goal is for the week, what do I plan to get accomplished. And then there's also a space for you to come in on Friday to add your reflections. And then in addition to that, your group will decide what works best for you, and Dr. HB will describe some of the different options that your group can use. But your group will have at least one meeting for the week. Sometimes it may be on Fridays where you go in and you'll say, this is what I had planned to accomplish or plan to accomplish. This is what I was able to do. Moving forward, I would need this kind of support. And so you just have a group, and it could be 30 minutes to an hour that your group would actually meet virtually in Zoom. We're going to have these lunch and learns, and we're going to have a poll. I'm going to try to wait until the very end of this, and we'll probably end up sending another email out for these professional developments. We're calling them lunch and learns, but you'll see from the poll, it may be a breakfast and learn, it may be a lunch and learn, it may be a happy hour and learn, just based off of the availability of the group and also one of our facilitators for these sessions. So we're going to work through what that looks like, because as we kept opening up the registration, everybody's times changed. And so it wasn't a clear area, a clear defined time that worked well for everybody. So we're gonna, just that one question, send that out one more time and really narrow down what times. And if we can't find one that works for the masses, then we'll just select the time that works best for those who are facilitating those and record them accordingly. And then we'll pull from each group what may need to be done to better customize moving forward. And as you see on the last one, the last point, we have a midterm and final participant evaluation. So we'll be checking in with you between weeks 2 and 3 to make sure this is actually meeting your goals. And if it's not, what do we need to do to make those course corrections midpoint to make sure in the end of these 6 weeks, you're actually getting what you need.
So the next element that I'll talk about is the virtual writing group styles. And so if you remember, some of these items that are listed here were one of the key questions from the survey that you all completed. So the first is, in terms of your writing group style, is it that you just need accountability? Do you need someone, or your group rather, to check in on the same date and the same time each week so that you are able to connect with your group and to meet your writing goals? Other groups or individuals may just need quiet online writing sessions. So this would be an example would be, let's say on Tuesdays from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., you're not really talking, you're literally just clicking in on the Zoom. Everyone's computer is muted, but it's just that accountability that you and your other group members are checking in on each other virtually, but kind of in silence, if you will, so that you have just designated time to write. Some of you may need unofficial editing with some of the manuscripts or research that you're working on, or it could be all of the above. So some of the sessions that you'll see that we're actually trying to customize for you all is to ensure that we're meeting your goals during these next 6 weeks. So this is our tentative writing schedule. So congratulations, we've all made it to week 1, June 22nd. And so each week you'll see that that will have designated time that you'll decide within your particular cohort or group what that time looks like. Some people could meet on Tuesdays, others could meet on Thursdays. It really just depends on what your group decides. And then as Dr. Ellis stated, we'll have these brunch and learn or wine day on Wednesdays once we have a poll at the end of the session today to figure out what is going to be the best meeting time for everyone. And just as a heads up, that we won't have any professional development on that Friday, July 3rd, in terms of the holiday weekend. So we'll move to the next slide where we can see kind of some of the tentative topics and schedule that we have here. So we're working with Dr. Hastings, who's going to be the consultant and leading a lot of these Lunch and Learn series. And so based on your availability in terms of our participants, but also hers, we'll work out a date and time. And as Dr. Ellis stated, no matter what, we'll definitely record the sessions and make sure that everyone has access to them. So you can see some of the tentative topics include just writing tips and tricks and how to improve your audience awareness. We'll also talk about strategies for improving your writing in terms of choosing the appropriate academic journal. We'll also talk about strategies for focus writing in terms of what matters most to your readers. We'll have a session on research methodology. And then lastly, last tentative topic will be strategies and resources to improve your writing productivity and efficiency. So you can see there's a host of different topics that we plan to cover over the next couple weeks. So our writing consultant is Dr. Candace Hastings. She's the director of the Office of Faculty Development at Texas State University. So Jennifer and I had a great meeting with her earlier today, and she's going to be our Lead and Learn facilitator. So as soon as we finalize our dates and times, we'll make sure that everyone has access to all the series. So this would be an example of my writing goals. So I have my overall writing goal for the boot camp and also a week 1 writing goal. So my overall boot camp goal is to improve my writing productivity. And so not to just dedicate, 3 or 4 days on end, but really think strategically about how I can incorporate writing more consistently throughout the week, and not just in the summer, but during the academic school year as well. So I have a couple of manuscripts that are, I'd say, more than 50% done, some done more than others, and I'm co-authoring those manuscripts with other people. So my goal by the end of the writing group writing boot camp is to have all 3 of those submitted. So I know that sounds aggressive, but I think I need a goal and a deadline to help push myself. And so what I'm going to be doing is establishing a writing schedule for myself that's going to include dates and times. It's going to include, how many pages I want to write that particular date or week, which kind of leads to what I'll be thinking about each week for my writing goals. So for example, the goal for this week is to submit this manuscript that I'm working on centered around experiential learning. And so it's near completion. I'm in the editing phase. So that's my goal, is to have that submitted by Friday. I also want to write a 300-word abstract on a topic of homophily with Dr. Liz Hathaway, who's a colleague in my department. So I think that's going to be about a 1-hour commitment. And then the last thing that I'll do this week is establish my writing goals for week 2. So I think it's important that you not just state what you want to do, but as Dr. Ellis stated, you want to attach a time, a word count, or a page limit to it to help keep you on track.
Mine are very similar to Dr. HB's. I have what I call some low-hanging fruit and that I need to just get out the door. I'm tired of sending emails like I'm a horrible student, like, oh, we're almost there. I need to be there by August 1st with having this submitted and getting it off my plate so I can work on things that are more closely aligned to my research agenda. So getting these 3 to 4 that are, 50%, 75% done, it is very important for me. And then really protecting the time to write. And so I can be very intentional moving into the fall. And I have a sabbatical in the spring. So really preparing for the spring strategically so I can get the majority of this low-hanging fruit out between the summer and the fall. And so for the spring, I can really actually focus on what I proposed in my sabbatical application that I've actually forgot about. So whatever that is, I need to get that, be able to actually do that, since that's what I'm going to be held accountable for. So for this week, since today I'm going to be spending a majority of my time trying to make sure everything is set up for you guys, I'll be doing, I probably won't start writing until tomorrow. But I'll establish my goals today for sure. And I'm going to today really look at what my low-hanging fruit are and to itemize those, kind of like when you pay off your credit cards, whatever has the smallest balance first, that's what I'm going to try to do so I can get some immediate gratification. So something that I know it can be a quicker turnaround, get that out the door so I can feel like, okay, you're getting back to your stride, and then kind of working my way up the ladder that way. So that's kind of where I'm going, where my strategy is. And so one of the things that we wanted to show you is the productivity schedule. So what I would do is, and I think I'm sharing my screen with you, so let me get out of this if it'll let me. Come on. There you go. Okay. So let me pull this down just a little bit. So each group has their own folder. And so if I go here, and so I'll send each group a link to their Google Drive folder. And so within each folder is a list of all the participants. And so when you click on the spreadsheet here, it will show you all the members who are in your group. And so you'll have access to their emails and where they're from. And so that's in your group folder. In addition to that is more or less like a handout that kind of goes over everything that we've just shared. And we'll probably need to update that based off of this particular slide here. But it has, more importantly, the links for your cohort for your meeting. So I've made these links in such a fashion that whenever your group wants to meet, they're available. So you can let us know when you want to meet, or if your group just says they've done enough to put us together, we can manage it from here, then that's fine. And then also we'll email this out. There's a link to your Google folder. So if you just download this file, you can always find your way back to your respective folder. So that's in your folder. And then this is the accountability sheet that we're talking about. And so within that, for those of you who are Excel averse, don't worry. I've made this really where all you have to do is just enter. And so it's coming. And I'll make this full screen, so hopefully you'll be able to see. At the bottom of each tab is your name. So in our group, this is I am Jennifer. So I'll click on this. And so I said this week I plan to work to write 8 hours, and then I would type my goal here. And then I would basically copy and paste it here. I would type my goal here. And then once the week is over, I would come here and post my reflections. So it's very simple, very private to you. And then the numbers would appear here. So if I go back to, I've got a lot on my screen, so let me move you guys away. So let's say for week 1, I said I was going to work 8 hours, and you all have heard that I have someone who, because now that I started off as a homeschool parent, and that's not my ministry, and I didn't sign up for that when I had him, but thanks to COVID, that's what happened. And now I'm a summer camp counselor. So, setting my productivity and I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. Let's just say this week, I only got 8 hours. I only got 6 hours out of the 8. It's okay. It'll post my progress that way. So I know, okay, I've got some room for improvement. And either I need to, really protect my time differently, set up some different accommodations for my son, so it's not just solely on me during that time. If I'm saying writing is very important for me for my next phase, then I need to do some things differently to not allow this summer to be something that I should be able to dedicate 2 hours of time to write each day. For the rest of the semester. So hopefully for those of you who are like, oh gosh, a spreadsheet, I don't know if I can do that. I've tried to make it as plug and play and as user friendly as possible. So you just really need to put in, just really these 2 columns here and your goals and your reflections, and that's just like a Word document. And so they're all customized for each one of you. And this is just kind of like accountability for you guys to see, how well you're doing. So you can encourage your fellow writers and cohort members accordingly as well. So I think, we'll use this as a piece to kind of have our own metrics to help each other and to hold each other accountable. And I will go back to the presentation if I can get my screen to function for the house. Come on. Okay. Let me go back to present. So I showed you what was in the Google Drives, and so you'll have access to that. And I'm putting, and I will send out some information to you as well with the links, and just making sure you have double the access to everything to make sure you know how to access anything. And if you have some issues or some technological challenges, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we will help you if you're not familiar with using Google Drives or any of the other systems that we have. And if needed, I can even do a little video tutorial and put a YouTube link up as well to help you. And so the group structure, again, is going to be customized per your group. So as Shawani mentioned, there are several different ways that your group can function. So it could be just a straight accountability group. Those of you who need, and when I looked at the data, some of you selected, I want everything. I want to do all the above. I want to go into a Zoom session and I want to just log in, mute myself, and just write for that amount of time period. And if that's what you need, then by all means do that. Now, if you're in a group that doesn't do that, reach out to us, and we will pair you up with others who are doing that, because at that case, in those particular circumstances, it doesn't matter what you're writing. It's just the fact that you need just the accountability of having somebody there for you to write. And then for some of us, it's, we need to have something on our Outlook calendar that is, will hold us accountable. I live by my Outlook calendar. So if that also helps you just to say, oh, I've got a Zoom meeting. And that's another way that, we're learning how to say no and protecting our time. That way, when people go and look at your Outlook calendar and to decide what time can you meet, you've already got it blocked off with something that is purposeful for your career. And so you've got that time protected already on your calendar. We're going to send you a doodle poll for each of your group to identify what time would your group meet for that week. So the weekly check-in for your group. And so you all can just determine that. I've already created the Zoom links for all of the groups. And so that information will be sent to you. And it's an open room for the entire 6-week period. And again, if your group wants to keep going past these 6 weeks, just let me know and I'll just change the time to as long as I can pull it out, and you guys don't ever have to contact me again about the link, and you guys can just use it however you want to. So we're just really trying to allow you to have the structure and the customization per your group and per your needs, because we have some of you who are undergraduate students, graduate students, and then some high-level administrators, staff members, and faculty members as well. And so within that, that's a lot of different schedulings that have to go around. And so for some members, they can only write maybe 30 minutes of their lunch or after hours. And so all of that would look differently for a lot of the different groups. On the survey, there were leaders and roles. And our particular cohort, surprise, surprise, those who wanted to help be a facilitator or a leader was Shawani and I. And so we would take on that role, and we could even rotate, or we can do rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to be the main facilitator for our particular group. And we would coordinate with the facilitator, with ourselves, just to make sure we knew what was going on. And if you needed us to check in with your respective group, or if you felt your group was self-sufficient and you didn't need us to meet with you, then we didn't have to. So just kind of, checking in with us to make sure your group is structured properly, or if we need to come in there and help you accordingly, we will do that. So for week 1, we really want you to look at the Google Drive folder, see what's in there. If there's something that you need that's missing, I'm going to also make sure that within each group, for those of you who want to share your papers and different things of that nature, there'll be a folder there that you guys can share things and send it that way. And if there's another structure that you would prefer, please just let us know. We will make sure you send out a reminder to your cohort members that their writing goals need to be put in, and also their week 1 reflections at the end of the week in that Google spreadsheet. And we want to make sure you have at least one meeting between now and Friday. We're going to give you guys this Friday off for the professional development as we restructure some of the dates and times, since there wasn't a real good definitive time between us and the consultant. So we won't necessarily have that lunch and learn on Friday, but so that would hopefully give your group enough time to get your weekly structure together, and then we'll just shift things on. Shawanda, do you want to do this slide?
So the goal for week 1 deliverable should be to everybody stood there.
Back. See if I can find where that.
Okay, so the week 1 action.
Okay, we got it.
Thank you. So the week 1 action deliverables. So these are going to be the very specific things that we would like each of you within your group to be able to accomplish. So the first is just to reply to the doodle poll regarding the virtual times, meetings, and goals. So whoever that designated leader is within your group, make sure you reply to their doodle poll, or however they're communicating with the group, to determine what's going to be the best course of action in terms of what that scheduled weekly time looks like for your group. Establish a common time to meet for your writing accountability. So for some of you, that may be Tuesday afternoons or Thursday evenings or Friday mornings, whatever that time is, where you all actually click on that Zoom link, you check in with each other and monitor your progress in terms of how you're meeting your goals. The third thing we would like everybody to do is just to confirm and establish your week 1 writing goals and reflections in that Google document that Dr. Ellis shared with you earlier. So each of you is going to have that your own access to your own folder within your group. And so we ask that you go ahead and type in that detailed information in terms of, how many hours you can commit to and what your goals and reflections are. And then try to have at least one meeting before the end of the week in terms of Friday, June 26th. So these are just a couple of tips to get you started. The first is to set small goals at the beginning. So whether this is just committing to 1 or 2 hours per week or 30 minutes, depending on what your life schedule is and your work schedule is, this really is sensitive to where you are at this particular time in the summer and in your writing process. So make sure you end each session by having each group member report back on their progress during the session. So if that means you need a timekeeper, or if you have 5 or 6 people within your group, everybody having 5 to 7 minutes during that time period to check in with their group and making sure that they're making, good progress each week. End each session with a plan for what you're planning to do next week. So if you remember, Dr. Ellis and I included this as part of our week 1 goals, is to really establish what week 2 looks like. And make sure that writing sessions are for writing. I'm sure all of us are guilty of, okay, this is the block of time that I've set for writing, but something else comes up that needs your attention. And so like Dr. Ellis, I live by my Outlook calendar as well. So if it's on my calendar, that is protected time. So whether that means just kind of sitting outside, I try to do now, instead of, sitting in my office for so long, for hours on end, when it's my writing time, at least this is what I'm telling myself this week, is that I'm going to sit outside for that hour and just get some fresh air and just kind of clear my head and focus in on my writing. So make sure when you're writing that is time for writing. So whether it's drafting 100 words or 500 words for a particular project, it's really important just to kind of flush things, get it out of your head and onto paper or onto that document. So don't be so consumed with it being perfect. Just be focused on getting something in writing. And the last tip is to draft a certain number of paragraphs in your writing project. So for instance, a project that I'm working on with a faculty member in my department, she's already drafted the outline and done some initial research. And so I knew that I had this writing group coming up this week. So my goal is to write that abstract. So it is, writing 300 words. So that's a very specific goal for me to write in terms of completing that particular project and just really taking it 1 week at a time.
Another tip that I would add is, if to protect your time, turn off the alarms, close Outlook so you don't get those dings, put your phone, like all of that, especially for those of us, and I'm talking to myself, who haven't been back in the practice of writing. And so what we need to do is really, really protect that time so we get to minimize our distractions so we can really stay focused. If you're experiencing some writing blocks and you just can't get started, sometimes what I do is I'll set a timer. And so I set a timer for 10 minutes. I'll write for 10 minutes. Then I might take a walk, like a minute or 2 walk, just to kind of clear my head, come back, another 10 minutes and walk and type. And so in a 30-minute time period, you're very intentional, but you aren't overwhelmed with like, oh my God, where do I start? And so sometimes you might have to start with small little breaks just to kind of help get your writing mojo back. And then hopefully by week 1, you've gotten into a good rhythm. And so by week 2, you're like, okay, now I can sit down for an hour and just work. So hopefully that would be helpful for you. And so this is going to be our mantra, our motto for this session is, don't let perfect get in the way of submission. So many times we want everything to be just picture perfect. We want us to strive for excellence, but we don't want us to set a bar that's so high that we never submit. And so many of us, and we've mentioned all these low-hanging fruit projects. Sometimes they're low-hanging because we just keep rewriting and we never submit them. So make sure you have very clear goals. What is a submission date? What does it look like? And make sure we get to that submission date, and make sure that we don't let perfect get in the way of us actually doing our submission. So I'll give Derek credit for allowing us to modify this to make it more customized for AABHE and this the goal of this writing session. So now we're going to open up the floor to any questions you may have about where we are. One of the things I said before I officially opened up to Q&A is that we got data on Friday from registration, and then I got another data dump today. And so I thought I was done this morning with making sure everybody's where they need to be, and I'm not quite done. So I should have that done that's why my writing goals are going to be from Thursday to Friday today to give you guys everything that you need. And we'll start sending out those emails to you and giving you access to your groups and also access to your doodle poll. So your group can start setting up your meeting times. Are there any questions that you may have?
Yes, I have a question. So I'm in the process of applying to a doctoral program, and I chose the thesis dissertation group because I know that's something that would be expected of me in the program. And I have kind of ideas of what type of research I want to conduct. So I wanted to kind of get a head start. So is that the correct group that I need to be in?
No, I think really you should be in other.
In the other group?
Because I think what you may want to do is start writing now towards publication. Because depending on what program you're trying to apply for, be expecting you to have a book review or some type of publication already. Some of these are very, very competitive. And so that may be one of the things that you want to do. And so I'll make sure, let me take note of your name. So I'll switch you to the other group.
Okay.
Shawani, do you have any?
Yeah, I agree. I think that will probably better serve you so that you can get probably a little bit more detailed feedback and insight in terms of what you're working on. So if you have a document that you're working on, or it may be a good idea to help brainstorm ideas for publications, or like you said, you're getting ready to apply. So maybe working on your personal.
No, I already applied. I'm waiting to hear it back.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, so I think trying to establish now what a research track could look like, I think would be a good strategy for the summer.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Also, I don't know if I missed this as you went through the presentation. The presentation was great for the orientation. But everybody, my name is Odalette Nance West, and I'm the Vice President for Programming with AABHE. And we are also working with Dr. Fred Bonner, who is the Director of Research, and he is bringing in resources for publication. I don't know where it all fits in with our lunch and learn or whatever we decide to do with those sessions, but throughout the entire process, we want to provide you with just a list of opportunities for you to become a published researcher. And so that's one of our goals throughout this session.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? This is Rena. I joined a bit late because my email said the meeting was going to start at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I was waiting for 1 o'clock, but then I just decided to just check the Zoom link. Yeah, it said 12 Central and 1 Eastern Time. So I'm not sure how much I missed, but I hope I'm in the right group, because what I want to do is write something from my dissertation and then publish it.
Yeah, so did you put dissertation to publication as your group?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This is it, right?
Well, this is the general group right now. So this is a general orientation.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got in late, so I just didn't know. Thank you.
I have a 1 o'clock meeting, but I mean, it's okay. Shawana, we may have to do this again.
I'm thinking so, yeah.
And it's fine. I'll
I believe Jeanette has a question.
Yes. Good afternoon. Jeanette Harris, University of Rhode Island. I am not used to Zoom. I'm used to WebEx, so I had a difficult time getting in. Here's my question. Are we going to get copies of all the information that was given out today?
Yes, ma'am. So like I mentioned before, a Google Drive folder for everybody. Send the information out via email, and it'll be very detailed for your particular cohort. So it'll be customized for your the cohort that you're actually assigned to. But this general orientation information will be available to you as well. Yes, ma'am. And are there any other questions? Since we're probably going to have to do this again, I do want to launch this poll. As mentioned, the lunch and learns may not be lunch. It may be lunch, breakfast, or a happy hour session, just depending on the availability of you and or the consultant. So we would ask that for you to select all that apply, and we will definitely adjust our schedule accordingly. And if we can't find something that works for everybody, then we will, you should be able to select multiple options. We will, again, record the sessions and make it available for you then. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to take a screenshot of this and then compare and contrast it to the 1 o'clock session that we're gonna do. So from this group, it looks like we said lunch and learn, and you want lunch and learning. So Wednesday at lunch time looked better for this particular group, and we will keep you posted on if, yeah, see, you've got 8 out of 10. I'll keep you posted on what the second group is, because there's over 55 people who have signed up for it. And this is something that is for AABHE members only. And so we'll have to maybe meet with Odalette after, if you can stay around for maybe a minute or two, just so we can talk about some next steps on certain things. We could do that.
And just a reminder, if you are not a member yet, you do have an opportunity to become a member at a discounted rate of $130.